Hey guys, Brian Schultz here with Cape Falcon Kayak, once again down here in Baja, Mexico, where we are testing out the new pedal drive canoe system. If you don't know what that is, make sure you check out the link that I'm putting up on the screen right now. That's going to take you to a video where I talk all about the evolution of this particular watercraft. And if you're new here and you don't know who I am, once again, my name is Brian. I am a professional skin-on frame boat builder. I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I offer plans and online classes teaching people how to build their own skin-on frame boats. So anyways, yeah, we're down here in Mexico for about 4 months, basically just putting the new pedal drive canoe system through its paces. That way, if there's anything I need to learn or change for the next iteration, I can do that. Right now, we are out on the water doing some fishing about halfway between La Paz and Laredo. It's really early this morning. We have kind of a nice sort of spooky sunrise in the background here. And we are heading out to that point there in the distance, and we're probably going to do a little bit of jigging. Weather report this morning is almost completely calm winds until 8 o'clock, and then it's going to slowly start to build from the northwest, which is a pretty safe wind pattern for what we're doing here today. Tide is high right now, which is perfect for fishing. We've got Liz back there in the driver's seat. Liz is trolling a rattly Rapala sort of thing, and I am trolling a Castmaster that I stayed up way too late last night doing some arts and crafts, modifying the pattern on it. So yeah, that's the news. We're going to take you guys out on the adventure. Maybe we'll catch some cool fish. In the meantime, enjoy the scenery.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so Liz is fighting the first fish in the morning right now.
It's a little lizard.
Let's see what you got.
Lizard fish.
It's a lizard fish.
Why do they bite those? It's
Yep. Okay, there you go, bud. Come on, get off there.
Hi.
All right. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, here, reel up. Whatever this is, I want to make sure it doesn't go into the rocks. Let's get offshore. Okay. Get offshore. Okay, pedal us away from the rocks. Oh, come on, come on. Doesn't feel really big. I mean, it took a little bit of line, but it's wanting to take me down to the rocks badly. No, I don't know if it's a Pargo or a trigger or any. Okay, let's just drag this thing away from the rocks. Okay. Okay, I think we're probably safe. Go ahead and pause. I'm gonna fight it. You might want to lean towards the outrigger side because it's pulling really hard on this side. What do we got here? Ooh. What is that? What am I looking at? Oh, okay. It's a little blue runner. I don't know if these are actually blue runner. Here, why don't you take the pole and bring it over to me? It's the disadvantage of having a 10-foot pole in a 16-foot boat. Okay, guys, so this is a green jack, sometimes known as a blue. Ah! Well, crap. So, anyways, that was a green jack, sometimes known as a blue runner. In the States, it's considered a trash fish, but quite honestly, if you eat them raw, they are absolutely delicious. It's a perfect sashimi fish. Fortunately, we have Sierra in the fridge right now. We're going to be out of it in a couple days, so I'm not too worried about losing that fish. You could see here on my lure, I'm just fishing singles, and these are barbless. So if I lose tension on the line for a minute, usually going to lose the fish, but for me that's an acceptable price to pay because for the fish that I do release, it causes a lot less damage to them. So, and there's plenty of fish. Anyways, let's keep fishing. Breakfast of Champions, Nature Valley protein bar, basically a candy bar, just more expensive. Okay, so continuing with our theme of me having absolutely no patience, I'm gonna go ahead and take this Castmaster off right now. And the reason I'm doing this is just because it's a little bit light and I want to try to fish a little bit deeper. We're off of a rocky point right here and it seems fairly productive. So I want to reach a little bit deeper into the water column and see what I can pick up. I really want to try this thing. This is a Gamoku Kinsaki. This is just a deadly lure, but it's also very expensive. So I'm having a hard time bringing myself to open it and put it on the line. Let's find our next best option here. Let's try this Fjord. This is kind of a cheap knockoff of that same lure. This is a pretty bright lure. So I'm probably not going to catch many small fish on this, but I'll leave that to Liz's Castmaster. Look at the eye on this thing. It looks angry. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay. Whoops, fish. Okay, it's the big fish.
Okay.
Okay, I got a significant fish here.
You want me to paddle away from shore?
Yeah, paddle away from shore. I don't want this thing going to the rocks. Okay, it's not huge. It's definitely not huge, but it hit pretty hard. It could be another blue runner, but that initial hit was pretty strong. Okay, it's not taking much line. I don't think it's that big. Let me just pull it up. Oh, okay. Okay, maybe it's a little... no, you can just hang out right here. I don't think it's going to get me into the rocks. I think we're pretty far offshore, although it hit very close to the bottom. Okay. Maybe a little farther offshore. The reason I'm so concerned about the rocks, guys, is a lot of the fish down here just want to drag you into the rocks. And then they cut your line, basically, on the coral.
Or the triggerfish just straight up lock themselves down.
Okay, let's call this good. I'm gonna try to pull this up. I don't know what this is. When I get it up, you're gonna have to fight it so I can either release it or keep it. Okay, what do we got here? What are you? Pargo! Pargo! Nice Pargo! Nice Pargo! Ooh, he's barely hooked. I want to get him in the boat. I want to get him in the boat. Nice Pargo. Oh, lovely. Oh, that's going to be delicious. Aha! Nice, nice, nice. I like to keep the fish alive. That way, if I catch something different and I want to let this guy go, or I change my mind, I can let him go and he can go on to live a life. Wow, he was barely hooked. This is why you don't want to tighten your drag down too much, because this fish is barely hooked. If I would have tightened my drag, I would have lost him. Okay, yeah, he's got some teeth. Ooh, this is a pretty fish.
And don't lose your boat.
Okay.
Oh, I know, you're angry.
Okay. Nope, nope. I got to get the lid on this bucket. Let me get a little more water in there. Okay.
Get the morning shower.
Shit.
You see, I'm usually in that seat. I'm usually the
This
one
sucks. It probably sucks worse for him than it does for me, but still. Okay. I'm sure the filming on this is great. Okay, let's put the lid on.
Oh, buddy.
Oh shit. Okay. Well. Okay, well that lure definitely works. I just dropped low. Okay, let's head back towards shore.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. He hit that right on top of the water. This is the biggest one I've caught. Okay. He's hooked a little bit deep, but luckily he's not struggling. So
Is that a single or treble?
it's a single and it's barbless. It's just
You just swallowed it.
It's just really deep. Ow! Oh. Ow! Son of a...
What happened?
Oh, it just cut the shit on my hand when it freaked out.
Is it still on? Or?
No. It got off. Everything's good.
Except for you.
I don't like the fact that... I took that chance. That was my choice. I knew that having my hands in there, I was going to risk cutting my finger pretty badly, which is exactly what happened. But I'd rather the fish get less hurt than me. So anyways, I'm gonna tape this up and then we're gonna keep fishing. So we just decided to take a quick pit stop at this beach behind the point right here, change the batteries in the camera. Liz is gonna do a little bit of beach combing, and I'm seeing a lot of activity right offshore here, which is kind of unusual because oftentimes in these bays behind the points, there's really not a lot of fish. So I'm gonna switch over to a surface lure just to keep things interesting, do a little bit of shore casting. So I think I'm gonna fish with this GT ice cream right now. This is probably not the most productive lure for this type of situation, but it is one of my favorite lures, and it's really fun to actually just watch it while you're reeling it in. Something was following it. Let's try it again. All right, so I have no idea what that was, but it was big and not interested in what I had to offer. So anyways, before we take off here, let's check out what Liz found beach combing. All right, Liz, give us the rundown. What do we got here?
You want like Liz's nature hour where I tell you things that are probably wrong?
Okay, what do we got here?
I got some kinds of like sea fans. There's got to be a lot going on out there because there was a lot of coral, lots of different kinds of shells and stuff on this beach. I think it's really healthy offshore here. I got another dead lure for my collection, so that's coming with us. These are cool. You know what these are?
No, what are those?
These are pufferfish bones.
Pufferfish bones?
Yeah, so like here's like a little dried one that I found. This guy's like awesome. It's completely intact except for his fins. But I learned this the other day. They don't actually have like an interior like rib cage or anything. The spikes are their bones, and they're just connected by like cartilage and tissue and stuff. So, but then when they like fall apart on the beach, they just turn into a pile of these. Those came from like a way bigger one.
Crazy. Okay, what do we got over here?
I got some urchins. This one still has its little mouth inside there. This, I don't know if it's the right word for this, but like I grew up calling these sea biscuits. They're like sand dollars, but it's almost like a sand dollar somebody puffed up.
So it's like a sand dollar with an eating problem.
Sure. And this is cool. This is like a brittle star.
Okay.
Got the face hugger.
Yikes.
The beach is covered in these. I think they must be molts because they're intact. You know, nobody's been harvesting these guys. Like, they wouldn't have tails.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing inside of them. They're hollow, so
they must be molts. I don't know where they crawl out of. It's pretty cool.
Dude, freaky. All right, it's getting pretty late. I think we're gonna head home, so I'm gonna switch to trolling gear. On Liz's pole, we're gonna troll this big rattly thing. So I'm gonna throw this out right now. If I'm trolling, I usually have one floating surface lure. That way, if things get hectic and the other person needs to stop and help, they're not gonna immediately sink to the bottom and hang up. So there's a surface lure. It's also just good to vary the presentation. And then I am going to be jigging and casting and trolling this Castmaster right here. And that's the cool thing about the Castmaster is you can kind of do everything with it, so you don't have to switch out. Okay. Let's head home. it's over. All right, guys, so obviously we didn't manage to hook into any really big, exciting open water fish on the troll home. Honestly, it was a little bit of a slow day on the water, but the fish that we did bring in were really nice, including that beautiful barred pargo that we're going to start cooking up here in a few minutes. And the nice thing about it being a bit of a slow day, and also the nice thing about it being overcast, is we've got good lighting and also a little bit of time left in the video so we can do a bit of cooking. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to fillet that pargo, which is also known as a snapper, by the way. And then we're just going to cook it up really simply a little bit later this evening. If you're not interested in this part of the video, feel free to check out now, but just do me a favor and drop me a like before you go. For the rest of you guys, why don't we head back over to the vehicle? So just in case you were wondering how we travel when we're out doing this stuff, this is our 1999 Jeep Cherokee. Fantastic vehicle, runs about 70% of the time. And on the side of it, I've got an awning with a bug tent coming down off of it. And here is the kitchen right here. We got a couple chairs, girlfriend. And then over here, we've got the tent that we sleep in. And then over here on the hood is where we are going to be dismantling this fish. All right, so fish fillet 101, this is basically the same for almost every fish, although there are exceptions. We want to start with a flat surface and a sharp fillet knife. It doesn't have to be a fillet knife. I've done this plenty of times with kitchen knives. The important thing is that this edge is sharp. So if you don't know how to sharpen, it's good to learn how. Otherwise, this isn't going to be very much fun. So we're going to start right behind the head here, and we're going to make a diagonal cut to the back of the fin. The scales on this fish are really kind of big, so it's a little bit hard to get through. Okay. And then something I started doing with triggerfish, but now I'm doing with almost all my fish, is cutting the skin before I cut the rest of the fillet. You have to get underneath the scales and just kind of work it. If you start from the back and work towards the front on this kind of fish, it works a little bit better. Most guys will just plunge down right through here and then start your fillet right down the spine. But the reason I don't do that is I find that I ended up wasting more meat that way. So if I just cut through the skin like this, then in just a second, I can really focus on filleting this close to the spine. And I don't think I need to do it this time, but if I've got a fish with really tough skin, like a triggerfish, I'll actually stop and re-sharpen for a second before I get into the fillet. So now that I don't have to worry about cutting through the skin at the same time, it's way easier for me to get really surgical when I'm opening up the fillet on this fish. The goal here is you want to slide the knife right along the spine of the animal so there's no meat that gets wasted. So once I've got the fillet opened up to about halfway down the height of the fish, sometimes there'll be some lateral bones you've got to cut through right here before you start working down the rib cage. Sometimes not, just depends on the species. And the idea here is that we want to trim as close to the gut sac as possible without cutting into it. It's not the end of the world if you cut into the gut sac, but you want to try to avoid it. There's certain fish you just want to fillet right through the gut sac, but generally rockfish species you don't. And then back here behind the gut sac, I'm just going to push the knife all the way through, and I'm just going to work it down the spine. It's a little bit awkward. This isn't the easy side of the fish for me to fillet. And I'm going to cut all the way back right here, but I'm not going to cut all the way through the tail. I'm going to stop right about there. And then coming back up front where the rib cage is, just going to cut down right here. Okay. And if there's any residual meat, I'll usually get in here really carefully with the fillet knife and clean it up. And then the reason I didn't cut that tag of skin off right here is because with this still holding onto the fish, that gives me something to pull against when I'm cutting the fillet off the skin. So I'm going to go ahead and take my knife and slide it down to the skin right here. And then this works a lot better if you've got a sharp corner on the edge of your tabletop and you can bring the fish all the way over to that corner and put the knife right here, because that way the knife is going to be nice and flat to your cutting board. Unfortunately, I'm doing this on the hood of a Jeep, so it's not going to be quite as clean, but you can see I can just slide this along the skin like this. You can see there's our fillet. Didn't leave very much meat on the skin at all. I'm going to take a couple minutes, clean this up, and then a couple really nice fillets for dinner here. And this is what that should look like when you're done. If you hold this up to the light, you should be seeing good clear light all the way through the fish. So anyways, throw the rest of the seagulls. All right guys, welcome to my kitchen on the beach in the desert down here in Baja. So we're gonna be cooking this snapper up as simply as possible tonight. There's lots of delicious complex recipes for fish, but I feel like whenever you have a fish that is this fresh, you owe it to yourself to actually taste the flavor of the fish. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start with some olive oil. I'm gonna pour a generous amount of this into this pan. All right, we are back in action. So I'm gonna put this on medium high. We're gonna be searing this fish really rapidly, so we want a really hot pan. Basically, you wanna heat this up until the olive oil is almost smoking. Another way to express that is that the oil will start to kind of shimmer on top, and when it does that, you know that it's hot enough. I'm also gonna put a little bit of salt on top of the fish, not too much. Just a little bit of salt, both sides. And we're gonna do a little bit of pepper. Like I said, this is about as simple as cooking gets. And might as well cut up this lemon. Give ourselves a couple nice little wedges that we can squeeze over later. Okay, so the oil's just starting to smoke. I'm gonna drop the fillets in. I've got a little too much oil in the bottom of this pan, so I'm just gonna dump it out real quick. We're trying to sear the fish. We're not trying to deep fry it. Okay, and I'm gonna set an alarm for 2.5 minutes. If the fish is really thick or the fish is really cold, you might wanna go 3 minutes per side. If the fish is really warm and it's really thin, you can go more like 2 minutes per side. All right, so that's my 2.5 minutes on one side. If you're doing this right, it should get stuck to the pan a little bit. You want to really try to get in there and scrape off the pan, because there's going to be a little bit of crust and you want to try to keep that on the fish. I didn't do a very good job right there. All right, so that's our 2.5 minutes. I'm just going to turn the heat off. And we're just gonna let this rest for about 2 more minutes. And then before we put it on a plate, we're just gonna double check, make sure it's actually cooked. It is cooked. And beautiful thing about snapper is just big, white, flaky meat. So let's go ahead and serve this up. Once again, really try to scrape the pan so you can get that crust. You want to eat that. Obviously, a fine dining situation here. A little bit of rice. I usually mix brown rice and white rice together. Just my own personal preference. And squeeze some lemon. I don't even want to know what this lighting is doing to my face right now. This is perfect. This is so good. All right, guys. So let me know what you think about the cooking video here. This is kind of new to me. I normally just make videos about building boats. This whole vlog style format is really a brand new thing, but if you're interested in it, I'll keep catching things, killing them, and cooking them for you. If you're not, let me know and I'll move on to something else. Okay, I think that's it for this video. As always, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. You can also find us on our website, capefalconkayaks.com, where we've got a bunch more skin-on frame building video courses, plan sets, and various free skin-on frame resources. You can also find us on Instagram at Cape Falcon Builds, where we post photos and videos of whatever we're working on in the shop or whatever we're testing out in the field, or apparently whatever we're eating now. And you can find that same content on the Cape Falcon Kayak Facebook page as well. Okay, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Be safe on the water. I will see you next time.